Okay, let's start then. So in the last class, we discussed Python syntax, and we have gone through two errors, right? Syntax error and name error. So if you remember the example of if condition, guys, are you there? So I have started. Just be response. So I can get the idea that you are on sync with me. Hello,
That your voice is breaking too much.
my voice is breaking.
Yes,
Now is it better? Hello.
am I audible?
Yes, you are audible. My voice is clear now.
I think
Am I
check
clear?
my side.
Okay, I think I'm clear. So what we were discussing in the last class, so we're discussing about the Python indentation. So if you remember, so we discussed about the Python indentation. So Python indentation plays a very important role in order to write the block of code. How we have to write the Python code and how we have to write the syntaxes according to that. So indentation is very important. So we have to make sure that we follow proper indentation. In the previous class, we have seen one example of the if condition. So I just said about the basic logic that I have to find out whether a given number like 5 is greater than 2. If it is true, it has to print 5 is greater than 2. How we can write this thing in Python? I have shown the simple example, right? So here we have discussed about two things, syntax error and the indentation error. So be careful while writing the Python syntaxes. So it's very important. So if you write like this, it will definitely throw the indentation error. So you have to maintain the spaces before the code of line. So you can give n number of spaces, but you have to follow the same number of spaces for the next line of code as well. Okay, in the same block of code. Are you guys getting what I am trying to convey? God, Digvijay. So I will move to the next topic. The important topic is variables and the comments. So we will discuss on that. Just give me a minute. Huh? Okay. All right. Okay. So we have seen up to here what is Python indentation. I have shown you with the example, syntax error. How many spaces we can maintain? At least you can carry with one space. Apart from that, you can be a number of spaces. Depends on how you write the code. Let's discuss about the comments. Why comments are required, how we write the comments, and what is a multi-line comment. So let's see with the help of a few examples. Okay. Let me write this as comments. Inka, are you there? So are you getting what I'm trying to convey?
Yes, I'm here. I'm looking at it. I'm getting it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
sure. Just try to keep on, talk in between. So whenever I try to say, so just respond, okay? So I can get that you guys are getting my point, what I am trying to say. So like right now we are going to discuss about the comments, why it is required and why it is important in Python, what it does actually. First, suppose yesterday, like for suppose let's take example of this. So I will copy paste it here. So what comment does is the first important point. Comments are helpful for explaining the Python code. You have written some block of code and you want to explain here like what this is condition is doing, what this code is doing. You can use the comments here. So comments is helpful for explaining the code. It is like the document, you're documenting some code here. Okay. That is how comments are helpful. The second point is comments are helpful when you're testing the Python code. For explaining the code, for testing the code, for documenting the code. For documenting the code. Okay. So let's see one by one example and let's understand. So what this point meant. First, suppose we have written this code and some other person is going to read your code and try to understand what you have written. For make it simple for other person in order to check what you have written, you can use comments. You can write the comment over here. So just use hash, okay? Hash space. So then after whatever you will write, it will come under the comments. So it will not impact on the code. For suppose I will write this condition, this condition checks whether pi is greater than 2 or not. Okay, greater than 2 or not. So you can write like this. So if you can see, if someone is if someone wants to read, it is so simple and understand that. So there is no need of some other person to explain. This comment itself explains everything. That's how comments are so much useful here. You can write like this. This is the one way of writing the comment. Okay. So the second method you can write here in the form of multi-line comment. How you can write it? You can see this one, like whatever I have written, this is called multi-line comment. So you're writing the comments line by line, which is called multi-line comment. You can write n number of comments line by line. So it depends on your code. So this is a good practice while writing the comments. You have written a code and you're writing the comments. It's easy for you also when you're trying to revise or go through the program again. You can understand easily that, oh, I did this one and this is what the program is. There is no need to dig into coding and all. By seeing the comment itself, we can understand. So this is the logic I have written. There is one more method that you can write the comment, right? We can use triple quotes, okay? And you can write this program tries to check the condition. If it is going to be the lengthy program or something like that, you can write like this. So it is more, when you see here, it looks like more, in a programmatical way. It looks nice actually. So you can use one method like this, and there is one more method, single quotations. So these are the three ways you can write. You can use hash, you can use triple quotations or single quotations like this, single triple quotations. Same here. So make sure you get the habit of writing in this way. So it's a good practice. That's it. So for suppose, so this is up to the statement for what program is doing. We are writing here about the program, right? So likewise, we can explain about anything here. So it doesn't matter. You can explain about it. Sometimes you can, for suppose you are writing another program. Let me print here hello world. Okay. Okay. You want to print this one, and here this code is not in use right now. We can comment out this one. You can comment program as well. So while executing, it will consider as comment, not as a Python code. So it will execute this one only. So this is called testing code. So right now I mentioned this point, right? It will helpful for testing the Python. So you're commenting over here and you're trying to test this one. So when you run this one, so it will simply print hello world. Okay. So this is the use of comment. So you can use like this, you can use like this, and you can use this format. Depends upon your requirement, situation, and how you write the code. Okay. Okay, we have covered the comments as well. So if you guys have understood, I will jump into the variables. These are very important. So this is the very important part of Python coding. You have to know about the variables. Then only you can start writing the code actually. Actual code starts from knowing the variables. What do you mean by variables? Clear with the comments, right? Any doubts are there? Okay. No doubts. Let's discuss what is variable, how we can create variable. So you can ask me what is a variable. So why it is very important. I'll stress many times that variable is very important. Even like I texted in the group 2 times that go to the topics on variables, data types, and comments. Don't know you guys have went through it or not. If you guys have went through it, you can tell me some points about the variables. Have read about that.
It is a reserved memory location to store values.
Reserve memory location to store the values. Okay.
And we can also say that it gives data to computer for processing.
Yeah, that's what actually we want to store some data. So there how the variables are placed very important. So we need some values, otherwise we can't do anything with that. We need values actually. Right. So variables are nothing but contain. What do you mean by contains? See, before jumping into all these things, let's discuss like how the programming is being used, like what is happening behind the scenes. Basically, like what we are doing, we are trying to do something with the data, right? Whatever we are going to do, we are going to deal with the data with some code that machine can understand, and we are trying to run it, right? After that, we will try to execute. We try to give some data, and we will try to get some output as some data. Input and output data, right? So this is what actually we want to do. We want to process some data, and we want to code it, and we then try to execute it and try to get some data out of that program. So apart among all these things, what do you mean by data? Inka or Vijay, can you tell me what do you mean by data? So what kind of data we have usually? What do you mean by data?
Data is basically a set of information which is processed to make it a
Set of information, set of info, or piece of information. Anything. Anything that is valuable, that is information. Right now, we are generating some sort of data, the recording is happening. That is also a data. Right now I am speaking. It is called audio data, right? So some kind of audio data is getting somewhere. So right now I am writing in this particular OneNote book. So it is also some sort of data, and it is going to store in the form of file. That is also a data. So everything is all about the data. So as I mentioned here, we try to give input as a data to some code. We try to process it and convert it into machine language, then after execute it. And we will get data as output. So in case of programming language, what kind of data we handle over here? We handle mainly what? We handle either characters or numbers, right? Mostly we handle characters or numbers. Mostly we will have only this thing. Right or wrong? Right. So in numbers, we have different types of categories over here. So different types of numbers are. So when you talk about characters, in Python, we don't have characters. We don't have characters over here. We have only strings. Only talk about strings. Okay. If you talk about remaining programming languages, we have character.
Yes, yes.
Right? So in Python, we only talk about strings, not about characters. Sequence of characters is nothing but strings. Okay? Sequence of characters is going to turn into strings. So if I talk about numbers, so we talk about integers. What else we have? Floats, float, and complex numbers. Mm, what else have we have? Boolean, right? Like true or false. The like true or false. So I'm not going depth about that because we have some concepts like list, tuple, dictionary. This is I will go further with that, but these are the basic things when we talk about the data. Okay. Integers are nothing but it can be positive or negative. It's a kind of whole number, okay, without decimal. It's like 1, 2, -1, 2, -2. Can be 0. It's like undefined length, unlimited length. So you guys are familiar with all this thing. I will go in step further. I'm just telling you because we have to discuss about the variables first. I'm just telling you that what are the piece of information we are talking about. What do you mean by data? So data is related to variables. So that's why I'm mentioning all these things. So keep in mind that we don't have characters. We have only strings, and the sequence of characters are nothing but strings. If we talk about the numbers, these are the, we can say types. These are the number types. Okay. Integer is a type, float is a type, complex number is a type, boolean is a type, strings are the type. These are the data types actually. Okay. These are the data types. Inka, do you understand so far what I
Yes,
mean by data type? Okay.
but let me ask you. I mean, this could be used for coding as well, right?
Sorry, this?
Pattern could be used for coding as well.
Yeah, coding as well, definitely.
Okay, all right.
So I will show you the coding part as how
Okay.
we can write these variables in Python. First,
All
let
right.
me get to the theory part because it's very important to understand. Then
Okay.
after we go to the coding part.
All right.
Because you need to know the basic part. That's the foundation actually. Without knowing that, it's you will get stuck in between if you don't know the thing. That's why I'm telling you in detail. Okay, we have understood like basic data types, right? So data types. And let's come to the thing, the term variable. So I have written here up there, variables are nothing but container. What do I mean by containers? So let's take one example and let's discuss about the container. Example, okay. Let's take the example of a kitchen room. So in a kitchen room, we have different containers. You see on your kitchen shelf, we have different containers. One container is labeled as salt. One container is labeled as sugar. One container is maybe labeled as let's say chili powder. Okay. See, these are the containers in which we store some sort of quantity, right? I mean, we try to store some sort of salt in here, sugar in here, chili powder in here, right? What it is doing, it is trying to store. That particular container is think of a jar, okay? In that jar, you are just labeled as salt. Inside that, you have some sort of salt in that, right? Likewise, variable is a container, okay? In which we store the data. Got it? Have doubts, ask right away. Variable, here you can see guys a container. Variable is nothing but think of a label, okay? Like salt. Okay. So in that container, we are storing the salt. In this sugar container, we are storing sugar. In this, we are storing some sort of powder and all. Okay. Likewise, in variable, we try to store our data. The data can be numbers. The data can be strings. It can be anything. Okay. What actually variable does is, this variable is just a name. like I mentioned, it's just the label part. Okay. When you try to, in Python, how we declare the variable is, see here carefully. In Python, in terms of coding part, what we do, let's take an example of a variable name A, okay? We try to give in the assign operator. This is called assign operator. We try to assign to this variable a data called, let's say, number 1, okay? It's like A equal to 1. So here A is a variable and this is called data. This is a value and we're trying to store in this variable. You can think of this one, the example I told, the container part. Okay, this is the label and we are trying to store some sort of salt related thing here over here, right? So what happens, one is going to store in this variable see ultimately what happens, whatever we try to store, it will store in memory actually. But behind the things we have some memory, right? Everything, whatever we store the data, it will store in memory, right? So this one will store in some memory with some memory address, something like 1A, B, C, D, whatever, in some hexadecimal form. Okay. So this is the memory address. It will try to generate for this. What A is the reference point for this memory address. So when you try to print this variable, so A is going to refer this memory address and try to find out this value and try to print 1 over here. Ultimately, label A is the reference point of this data value. Understood? If you have doubts, ask me again.
Understood.
A is the reference point for this data where it has stored. You can say 1 is like a object. So here A is referring a object 1. Okay. This is the reference point. Got it? See, if you don't know, if you don't have any sort of variable, how we can know that where it has been stored? Suppose, let's take this example, the containers example. So we have stored salt, sugar, and chili powder, but you did not label it, you did not name it. How it come to know that in this particular content there is a salt, there is a sugar, there is a chili powder? You should label it, right? So naming is very necessary, labeling is very necessary. That's why we called it as variable. Got it?
Yes.
Understood? Yeah. So before declaring a variable, we have certain rules to follow in Python. So after completion of this, we directly jump into the coding part. We can do some hands-on. Rule number 1. Python variables are case sensitive. Variables are case sensitive. So what do you mean by case sensitive? First, suppose you have declared as equal to 1. Then after you have declared as equal to 1, Python will try to understand this is the different variable and this will understand as this is a different variable. Okay. For you, it is as a person, we can understand this is the A and this is a A. But for Python, it will understand, this will understand as different A because it is case sensitive. Okay. I hope you got this. What do you mean by case sensitive now? Okay. So while declaring the variables, we should keep in mind that you can use A to Z alphabets, okay? Anything like small a to Z or capital A to Z. Okay?
Almost one class already, you know. But they
Sorry? You are breaking up. Tamar, I think Tamara. Yeah, Tamara, what you're saying? Come again.
I'm sorry. I was just saying I was just joining on, so I have to mute myself. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. So while declaring the variables, the second rule is you can declare with using A to Z alphabets and small a to Z, okay? And you can use numbers and underscore, okay? But you should not start with number. For suppose you have declared like 2a equal to 1. It will throw an error. So it should not start with the number. You can use the numbers in between, like for suppose my variable underscore 1. You have given the data as 22. Okay, you can declare like this, but you cannot declare starting with the numeric value. Okay. Cannot start with numeric value. Next, cannot start with special characters. Special characters like at the rate, whatever. Except this one, you cannot start with the special character. Hash cannot use. It will throw the error. It's like you can say the illegal one. It's very illegal to use all these things in variables. I mean, I'm just telling in general. It's not like the normal illegal thing, but so can remember that cannot use the special characters and the numerical value while declaring the variable. These are the basic rules to follow up. So here you can see I have mentioned here. So you can give the short name, descriptive names. You must start with the letter or the underscore characters, anything. You can even start with the underscore character. Cannot start with the number, can contain alphanumeric numbers, or there is one more thing. Cannot use Python keywords. What do you mean by Python keywords? In Python, we have some special sort of keywords which already Python has used. We cannot use it as variables. Keywords. One of the keyword we have seen here, if here, okay. So if is a keyword, we say it as reserve keyword. Remember this terminology. Python reserve. So all these things, just type in Google, you can get to know. Python has a set of keywords that are reserved words that cannot be used as variable names, function names, or any other identifier. So we use all these things further in coding part. Okay, these are all the keywords we cannot use as variable names. You will get in hand day by day, but so please keep in mind. You can search it and I will just go through it one by one. You can understand it. So these are the things. Let's like I will show you one by one what I have mentioned. So any doubts so far? I don't think so. You guys have doubts. So if you want to go into Python through command line, we have to type Python, right? So let's see one by one, okay, how we declare the variables. Let's name it as my variable what I said, we have to use the assign operator. Okay, equal to operator. This is called assign operator. We are assigning some sort of data to a variable. Let's say 65. Okay, I have stored right now. So if you want to check it, you can directly type my variable. So when you as my variable 65, even you can use print option. So when you want to display output, you can use Python, right? I mean the print statement. Variable. See, you can use print statement to see the output. So this is the first variable we have written. I have mentioned the second instruction, right? We should not give the numerical value. Let's suppose I have declared like 4 var, okay? So I am trying to assign the number over here. What we got? Syntax error, invalid decimal literal. Okay, so this is the part of syntax error. We should not give the number over here. It will get an error. But if you really want to give the number you really want to use, you can use as var _4. It will take now because we have followed the instructions, right? It has to, we can use alphanumeric plus underscore as well. So let me try to print it. If you want to display the output, we can use print statement. Or else you can directly type the variable name. Okay. Next, what I have said at the beginning, Python variables are case sensitive. ABC. Here I have discussed about data types, int, float, complex numbers, and I have discussed about the strings as how we can declare the strings in Python. You can use single quotation. For suppose let's like name my type. I will type my name and I have closed. Can this is one of the error. Okay, this is also one of the error, name error. Means we did not declare any sort of PAC. Does not exist actually. You have to type ABC. You can see it, right? ABC Hayat. So Hayat name has been stored. We can say Hayat is a string. Have been stored in a ABC variable. Okay. Guys, are you getting what I am trying to say?
Yes.
No.
I have one question.
Okay.
When you are declaring the string in the variable, so you have to use single commas or like double inverted commas?
I will tell you. I will tell you. You can use double quotations or single quotations or triple quotations as well. I will show you examples. Okay. So I was about to tell that. Okay. ABC. Then after, let's give it as Hayat. Here you can see the value is same. Okay. But the way I am declaring here is different. ABC and ABC. So what it will try to understand? So it is going to be the same or different? What do you guys think? Here is a Hayat is there. Here also Hayat is there. What do you think? ABC and this ABC are similar, different? Yes or no? It is similar or not?
It is different
Why it is different?
because this is case sensitive as well.
Yes, this is case sensitive. That's why. But suppose if we want to check it is similar or not, what we can do? ABC, you can use comparison operator. Okay. It is same because the values are same. Okay. It is comparing the values. It is same. But the problem is if you see this variable is going to refer different memory location, and this is going to refer different memory location. What do I mean by that? Inko and Tamara are getting, I guys are not getting confused, right?
You said what? Sorry, I heard my name.
Did not hear. I am saying, are you guys are getting what I am trying to understand? Trying to make you understand about the Python case sensitive.
I'm catching up. So so far so good.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I have declared here Hayat. I have declared over here ABC Hayat. In terms of value, same. But so I have set case sensitive, right? So what Python will do, it will store in different memory. It will create different memory location. So memory locations are going to be different. So that's why it is going to be different. Let me show you how it is. Let me see the memory address value. Let me exit. And let me write ABC Hayat. Okay. So let me check. I have what I mentioned is going to store in different memory locations. If it is going to be stored in the same memory locations, it is not, it is not case sensitive, okay? It is case sensitive, means it has to store in different memory locations. How we can see the memory locations? So we have to use ID method, okay? To tell us the location, memory location or memory address. So let me print ABC. Something. Storing the same memory address, right? Should not happen. Why it is happening? Just give a minute, guys. Storing in the same memory address. Okay. So let me see it and I will tell you what's going on. But you guys have understood, right? How to declare the variables, how to understand it, what we should not do. This is up to the variables, what we should deal with that. Okay. And Digvijay asked, can we declare variables with single quotes as well? Yes, we can declare. Suppose I have declared here, it will take. Even you declared the variables with, see, observe here what happens. I am declaring this a equal to string over here. When I try to write different, when you try to give different value, what happens? It will try to overwrite the previous one. So here, previously we are having string. Next, I'm going to have some different value. Let's give, this is is the store. Okay. So string has been overridden by this particular a variable. So here in this a, we are going to have string. Then next time when you're going to use the same variable name, it is going to overload. Okay. So it is going to definitely going to override over here. So first, suppose if you want to keep this variable as it is, and if you don't want to override it, what you can do? Okay, try to store this variable in another variable name. This is the first variable name. This is the second variable name. So likewise, what happens when I try to assign, for suppose rise? Okay, it has overlap. But when you try to print B, we can see the B over here. Okay. So suppose let me see the address. So this particular rise has been stored in this particular address. If I see, this is going to, we have to get different address over here. B. Okay. So it has stored in two different addresses. So these two are different containers, what we were discussing about. Guys are clear up to this? So let's not go, let's not move further about this, because if you have any doubts, ask me right now. I will try to tell you again.
Bharat,
Yeah.
actually, you know why the memory allocation is locating the same? Because these are the immutable objects. The
Yeah.
small objects in Python, they use interning to optimize the memory usage. So it shows the same location. And for the
Because of the
mutable,
same value.
these are the small integers, like mutable objects. It contains integers, strings, and tuples. So it always locate the same memories. And whereas there are the mutable objects which contain lists, dictionaries, and sets. In that particular scenario, if we relate equal value to the different variables, then it locate towards the different memory.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So I just want to show you the difference of the case sensitive. So in that particular case, it has to behave like differently, but in that particular case, I did not understand why. Okay,
You
just
can
give me
use
a
an
moment.
example of set.
No. If I use, so that I know. These are the, what we say, mutable, right?
Yes,
So
mutable.
mutable things.
Yes.
Yeah, strings, integers, and these are kind of immutable things. Mainly strings are immutable.
Yes.
Yeah, list and tuples are also
Dictionary.
immutable. So lists are
Yes.
mutable, dictionaries are mutable, and sets are mutable. We will discuss about later, because otherwise these guys will get confused. That's why I'm not using this terminology. When I'm going to use that mutable and immutable, when I'm going to tell the difference of string and all these things. I understood. That's why I just removed that example. It's not deep about that.
Got it.
Yeah. Uh, Guys, if you have doubts from the previous session, just ask. So I will stay up to few, like 10 more minutes. If you have doubts, you can ask. So far about the things like variables, comment, Python indentation, how we get syntax errors, syntax error, name error, and we have seen indentation error. Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. So tell me what you have understood or do you have any doubts. I know you guys will going to go through the video again and you're going to search on the Google and you're going to see other videos as well. So what do you mean by variables and set of variable rules? But have you understood the what is the name made by variable, how we can store the data, how it is storing in the memory? So in terms of that, take your time, 2 minutes of time, and so try to, if you have any doubts, please ask. Ashish, I think we can stop the recording. Just stop the recording. Mhm.
And please don't forget to send the video again, the recorded one. We've not seen it for the past, the last two.
Yeah, I will try to share. Ashish, are you there? I think I can stop the. So now next class will be, I think like 3rd of September. Today is Sunday, right? So we will see on Tuesday. Okay? So we are going to have alternate class for few days. Okay. So remember the date. Next class is on 3rd. Okay, all right.
Okay.
Seems to be no doubts.